Unspoken Issues.
All right, boys, we're here. We're going to be talking about Punisher Pariah on the latest Unspoken Issues podcast. So, this took place in Punisher War Journal, issues 65 through 69, 5-part series. This, I believe, was the idea of one Dean Compton. Dean Compton.
I was my pick. First off, I don't feel like, because the Punisher's my guy, I don't feel like we should ever go too long without talking about the Punisher. Such a huge part of the 90s, both on the front end and back end. Also, Stephen Grant wrote this, one of the better Punisher writers. And for somebody who's so associated with the character, didn't write as much Punisher as you might think. And so this is one of the storylines that I really like that he did. It follows Suicide Run, which I think gets a lot more attention, but I think this is a neater little package. And I'm always a fan when Frank Castle mixes it up with the Marvel Universe. We get to see Captain America and Spider-Man in this. So it's, it's always fun to talk about that. And also, God, I hate to sound like one of those fanboys, but I can't let them change what the Punisher is. So I'm really upset about recent happenings. It's just all dumb. Right. It's really just dumb. I'm let's talk about things that aren't dumb that involve the Punisher.
Darry, this came out in 94.
I have never read this before, but I was very surprised because two of the covers prominently feature Spider-Man, and definitely if I had seen this on the rack, I would have picked it up. 94 is still a little early, so I don't know. Maybe I just didn't see it, but I definitely would have. I mean, that at that point, if I saw Spider-Man on the cover and I liked the Punisher very much, I'd have been like, oh, great, put that right on the top of the pile. So it was a hole in the collection, but I was quite happy to read this now.
Yeah, I think I dropped off of collecting Punisher comics a couple years before this. I believe
Strike Force came out. You didn't have any more money.
94, folks. It was. I
can't miss.
You know what? You're probably fucking right. This is one of those situations where I was like, I've only got limited funds.
It was, I remember, when I would go to the comic book store, the most I would get if it wasn't a special occasion would be $10, and that seems like a pretty good amount. But you're talking about in an age where at any point, we're like, oh, what's this? Thor number 478 has a special cover for no fucking reason. Now it's $3.95, asshole. $10 wouldn't go as far as you think. If you wanted a Wizard, that's 40% of it.
Yeah. Oh, Wizard, the Guide to Comics. I thought you only read the journal or something.
Hero Illustrated, the journal, right? Comics Journal. Me and Gary Groth and the Punisher hanging the fuck out. You know how that guy is. He sure loves the lowbrow. Well, what about you? Yeah. So you didn't get it because of Strike Force, and you didn't get it because you were a baby. So I did buy it off the shelf. I bought it. I read it in real time. I was really excited after Suicide Run. I thought that was gonna fucking revitalize the Punisher, but within a year he'd be back to one title, and then soon after that they'd reboot the whole thing, and he'd kill his beat 'em up partner Nick Fury, and then be a mob boss.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Get a ponytail. That's what you did in the 90s, like him and Superman. Listen, I've changed. Don't you see my hair is longer?
Well, yeah. So this, like I said, came out in April of 1994. Writer Stephen Grant. On the art throughout this whole thing, I believe, is Hugh Haynes. And then we have.
That's a great.
It's funny. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You know what I mean? Hugh Haynes, that motherfucker. He can punch somebody. You just know it.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like a Marvel character. If you told me that there was a book that Stan and Jack worked on where the main character was Hugh Haynes, I'd believe you. I'd absolutely.
Which goes nice with Stephen Grant, who is Moon Knight, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's one of Moon Knight's identities. So how about that? So maybe Hugh Haynes is Man Thing's other identity. Who knows?
Oh, headcanon accepted.
What?
I can never remember the name Ted Sallis. I'm all for changing that right up.
Throughout these few books on inks, we got Mark McKenna, Mick Gray, and Scott Koblish as well. And it looks like Michael Higgins chimes in with some of the inks and letters. Colors, John Kayla's is what I'll go with there. Kayla's. And it looks like Carl Bowler's also there on issue 69. So let's go ahead. We'll do the synopsis real quick. I've got some talking points here written out, and then we'll we'll get her done. So Frank Castle, the Punisher, is now public enemy number 1 after the public killing of a corrupt member of the group V.I.G.I.L, which stands for Vigilante Infraction, General Interdiction, and Limitation.
Yeah, they wanted that one.
They did.
Hey, and I don't blame him. It's kind of a good name, because the vigilante thing. But they stretched that as far as it could. But you know what? The taffy's still edible.
I'll agree. Things go from bad to worse when the Punisher is tracking a drug lord named Machete and is again caught on camera killing a dirty cop. Captain America joins in on the hunt, and Frank is soon cornered by the Avenger. Making a run for it, the Punisher is able to jump onto a pursuing TV-7 helicopter and escape, demanding them to take him to Manhattan. On the way there, he realizes they are being chased by V.I.G.I.L. Frank has the crew use parachutes to jump into the river, while he is able to make it to a nearby cable car just before the helicopter is shot from the sky. Trying to continue his pursuit for Machete, the Punisher is ambushed by V.I.G.I.L leader Nails. But Frank is again
former V.I.G.I.L leader Nails, because he gets ousted at the beginning of this.
Yeah. That's right. He
gets booted upstairs, I think is what they say.
Yeah.
Go sit at a desk.
Cushy desk job.
Right, and we're going to take over. Basically, V.I.G.I.L becomes
apparently President Clinton wanted it that way.
That's what I was saying. The Department of Justice has taken over V.I.G.I.L and sent Nails packing, but Nails ain't having
Which
it.
is the thing that can just happen, right? The federal government can just take over a cop force anytime they want.
Oh yeah.
No one would have to go to court. There would be no pushback. Like, well, I guess the Rotendam County Sheriff's Department belongs to you now, Uncle Sam.
I will go collect my check.
Right.
The Punisher is ambushed by former V.I.G.I.L leader Nails, but Frank is again able to escape, only to run into Spider-Man.
There you go.
Spider-Man webs Frank up and knocks him out. I mean, that was a quick one. Leaving him for the authorities. Only is Machete's men who arrive, taking the Punisher back to a cell to await their leader.
To be fair, Frank doesn't fight. Like, Frank just gives up.
Yeah. He knows. He drops the pistol.
You can argue it's a cheap shot.
I'll agree. Enraged, Machete plans to have a sword fight and kill the Punisher as his goons cheer him on. However,
what a plan.
Yeah. However, during the fight, Frank is able to grab a nearby gun, unloading it on everyone there, including Machete. After he is done, Frank walks out of the house, still public enemy number 1, knowing that his path in life is a dark one, inevitably leading to death. And he rides that path with a determination that he will not reach his destination alone.
No, because his wife's going to come back from the dead and shoot him in the mouth.
Oh, no!
Right. He does have those cool skull glasses, though. Like the Machete guy has those glasses, and he walks out at the end, and he's like, "These are my glasses now, asshole. My colors?
That's so great. So there you go. Like I said, boys, I took all 5 issues and I smashed it into a real quick synopsis. So I know that's not normally how we do things. We kind of expand some things, but let's start things out here real quick. And I'll throw it to you, Darry. Tell me if I'm right here. There's almost like this weird, like, and I don't know much about V.I.G.I.L, but there's like these real low key, like I get like Civil War vibes. I know this is way before Civil War happens in the Marvel universe, but like them being a unit that's like watching over vigilantes, that's kind of the things and Dean, feel free to step in here.
They're only a Punisher group.
Okay, that's it.
They're only an anti-Punisher group. Yeah.
This is something that has legs on it. At least the idea has legs.
It should have and could have. I think you're right. I don't mean to take Darry's time, but like, no, this was created in the storyline right before Suicide Run. They're a prominent factor in Suicide Run. They're a prominent factor here, and then I don't think they ever fucking do anything again. They were only. Yeah. Like, but you're right. They could have expanded this idea.
Well, you got to remember too, like, in the internal consistency of the Marvel universe, most of the quote unquote vigilantes, they don't kill anyone. And
Right,
I mean,
right.
You know, the idea here being that, you know, Frank Castle is a murderer. You know, does he kill quote unquote bad people? Well, yeah, but he's still killing people. Spider-Man doesn't kill anyone. The one time he does, it's a huge deal, and he turned out to be framed anyway. But for the Punisher, it's like once he goes off the rails, like the normal person on the street is like, well, wait, what is going on here? You need to do something. So Vigil is like a big, fancy, well-funded Giuliani era, like super task force. Like, get him off the street. Like, I live here, man. If you told me that this was coming out, I would not be surprised at all. But you know, all the other ones.
There would also be a number of people though who would be against it. The Bernie Getz factor.
Oh, without a doubt.
You'd be like, what's the Punisher doing that's so wrong? What's the Punisher doing that's so wrong?
Yeah. But I mean, like, you know, Spider-Man, Daredevil, everyone else, it's like a tourist attraction. It's like no one's leaving bodies.
Right. Everybody, like, if you take one of those fucking buses, it stops in front of the Baxter Building.
Yeah.
You know, or Four Freedoms Plaza, depending on whichever it was. Personally, I like Four Freedoms Plaza better, honestly.
Me too. Me too.
I know the Baxter Building's classic, don't get me wrong, but that big four, wash.
Yeah, buddy. Right.
No,
Yes,
no,
indeed.
no.
I do love how the Punisher uses the cops coming after him to kind of like take down the drug lab as well. You know, he's running and he's making sure that they're coming in chasing him, but he's just waiting for them to run into the drug lab, and of course that provides him some time to get away, and those two end up fighting each other, which is great. There's definitely some commentary kind of thrown in here, which is fine. I mean, you know, this isn't like big time commentary, but you could tell that the public doesn't trust the cops. Or at least they don't have much faith in them. There's a situation where I think they bust down a door of somebody's house, and they're looking for the Punisher, obviously, but they just don't care about what the citizens that get in the way of their hunt. Can I just say that, you know, for issue 2 to come out and Captain America not be on the cover really surprised me.
Yeah, but I feel like he wasn't a selling point back then. Like, I wouldn't have.
Apparently not.
I feel like Cap didn't really get back on everyone's radar until Mark Miller came around and really said, you know, there's a reason that this character has been in almost constant publication since World War II, and you know, really reminded everyone. But I know when I was a kid, when I was this age, I didn't like Cap. I didn't like any of the Avengers. I didn't like any of the old school characters. Like, I was like, y'all are boring and dumb, and you have the worst costumes in the world, and not one of you is on Generation X. So please do not come anywhere near.
Those jackets are bad. The X-Men's jackets are good.
Exactly. The jackets with the X's on them, I want those, and their figures. The ones with the A's, get them away from me. I don't want anything to do with them.
I think Captain America gets fairly revitalized with the V.I.G.I.L run.
Oh, that's fair.
I don't think they're setting any sales records, but as far as like people being like, there's something to this, and then you can lambaste the Liefeld Captain America all you want, but it got people talking and it sold numbers. You know, I mean, it did business, and you know, I think that it helped as well because Mark Gruenwald wrote the book for 714 years, and
that's so true.
I think that I think there's some great stuff in there, but like. I think that it needed a shot in the arm. Even I don't even hate Fighting Chance. A lot of people do, but I think if you read it, it's actually a pretty good.
What is that? What is Fighting?
It's the one where like the super serum soldiers breaking down.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Or whatever. But like, and everybody just sees the armor and they see this stuff and like, oh, it's shitty. But it's actually an interesting thing that we're all gonna have to face one day. Like, well, you're not gonna do the things that you used to, and what does that look like, and what does that mean for you? Well, it means a lot different if you're the goddamn fucking Sentinel of Liberty, the face of the philosophy of a country. You know, I mean, it's a lot different. And he also has like dinner with Batrock, and when Batrock shows up, he's like, I can't fight you, I'm about to die. Batrock's like, no, I heard you were dying. You're my greatest enemy. Let's break bread and let's talk. And I think that's a great moment. There's a few good moments in there. But yeah, you're right. Like Captain America, not moving the needle on anything at this point.
Can I say that Mark Gruenwald, I love that man. I really
for do. Sure. Great guy.
But that Cap run, it's like when Roy Thomas is writing the Earth 2 characters. It's like you're just writing this for yourself. There's nothing here to appeal to a wider audience, and it's so rough. But I will say that for Mark Waid, I agree. It it probably didn't set the world on fire sales wise, but Waid is my favorite Cap writer. He did a book after the 90s called Man at a Time, this random mini series. It is one of the best things I have ever read. So yeah, I would say anyone who hasn't read the Waid Garney run in the 90s, definitely worth checking out. You probably get it online very easily.
Yeah, and it was I think just collected in an Epic collection too this year, like Man Without a Country, I think.
Yeah.
Last year, so it's probably still in print that way. But yeah, so they probably wouldn't have put him on the cover, I mean, and even if they did,
I don't know. Here's my argument for it.
I guess the way it ends, man, like the way the one comic ends, you'd think it would. That would be the natural progression,
right? And my argument is like, Marvel's known for like, okay, hey, we've got two of our heroes. They're going to be going at it, and we've got to show that this is going to happen. And they just decided not to do it this time. I thought it was an interesting choice. But speaking of the battle, Darry, what'd you think? It's Cap versus Punisher. What are your thoughts here on the fight?
I loved it. I love this whole thing. This passes like my number one Punisher rule, which is if this had just been a movie, like if this had just come out as a movie in 1994, whenever this was published, it would have been great. I mean, it's got everything you want. It's got all the set pieces, the action movie cliches. It's all here. Like, this is the type of story. This is why this character was so popular. So I think Pariah was great. And I love Cap. I love watching the two of them against each other, because it's one of those things where, the Punisher doesn't have a recurring rogues gallery, right? He doesn't really need it. He kills you. Everyone tries to kill him, and
one guy.
One guy. Yeah, one guy. He's got the one guy. But Cap is a really good foil for him, because Cap represents the authority and everything else. But also Cap doesn't hate him, but Cap knows him. Cap's been there. Cap's had the same bad day. I don't know if it came up before or after this, but when they did Punisher versus the Marvel Universe, Punisher and Captain America, they have a long drawn out fight. He kills all the X-Men in like half a panel, but Cap, they sit and they have this fight, and Frank basically goes, you were in World War II. I was in Vietnam. I had to learn things that you've never even gotten up to. And that's how he eventually beats him. But,
right.
but for
there was
a while,
no jungle fighting in World War II.
Yeah, exactly. There
was a lot.
I'm no military history expert, but I love when yeah, exactly. But I love when they go up against him, because Cap always wants to see the best in people, and you can tell it's killing him to even have to fight this guy. And he keeps saying, he's like, come in, let's get you the help you need. Let's figure this stuff out. I don't think you did anything wrong, but we can't do this here in the middle of everything. We absolutely can't, and you know that. And Frank doesn't want to fight him. Absolutely does not want to fight him. And it's just this whole thing of like, how am I going to continue my mission without risking the flag, the guy standing here that represents everything that I once fought for? So anytime these two guys get together, it works. And that's you could say that about the whole Marvel universe, because it's like, yeah, they constantly fight each other, but they are each other's best antagonists. It's like the villains, they get punched out. They've got some great ones, but when the heroes are fighting each other, you buy it, because the things were structured so well. So this was a delight. I mean, the last page of him standing there, with the shot point up, you're looking up at him, and it's great. It's an excellent use of the comic medium. You get to the last page, Cap's there. If you're a Punisher fan, you're going to get the next issue, but now you really want to see if this guy's going to be able to take him out. So I thought it was great. Just well done, solid stuff. Okay, can we talk very quickly about each issue has like Frank reviews a gun? Did you guys see?
Yeah. It's have you ever read the Punisher Armory?
I have. I didn't realize
this is how the Punisher Armory works. It's the exact format of it. So these are pages out of it where he tells you what he thinks about various weaponry, vehicles, what have you. He's like, this is what I use to go diving in the sewer for my gun that I can't find, like all this shit,
I was so confused, because I have read Armory, but I guess it's not been in a very long time. And I got to this last page, and I thought it was more story. So I'm reading this whole thing, and I was like, wait, what gun? What does this have to do with anything? And then I looked at the other issues, and I realized he was doing like Frank's Corner. This is the gear I like. And he
right.
microchip, and he's got all these like manufacturers, and I was like, this is insane. Like,
Yeah.
this is the only.
God, what's the guy's name? Elliot Brown. Elliot R. Brown is the guy who did these, and he meticulously researched this shit.
Oh, so these weren't Stephen Grant.
No, most likely not. I can't say for 100% certain, but I would say with 97% certainty, Stephen Grant did not write these pages. These are much more out of the Elliot R. Brown Punisher Armory, where he was like subscribing to like all kinds of like gun magazines and like weird fucking SWAT team shit so that he could get like material. Because I mean, listen, you can't always just put an M16 and AK-47 in there. Like Uzi, we see those in the movies all the time. Now you want to see them some, but you also like, you want to see something more exotic, something weirder. Here's a spring-loaded knife. Here's how I train. Here's a battle tank we built. Here's scuba gear that I use.
Here's this thing that shoots clay pellets in case you need. I still wasn't even sure what you would need that for. I was very confused.
You never know.
Yeah.
Now, I want to circle back to a point you made where you're like, the Punisher doesn't have a rogues gallery. This may be a hot take, but the Punisher actually has the greatest rogues gallery of all time. It's Spider-Man. It's Daredevil. It's Captain America. It's Moon Knight. Yeah. These are the guys that he gets to, like, as far as his enemies, those are the ones that come back again and again because they don't really agree. And it's great because at the end of the day, no, Spider-Man doesn't murder anybody, but bro, you don't really have any more right to be out there doing this than the Punisher does, nor does Daredevil. So when they fight, they have to fight, a shadow version of themselves, for lack of a better term. Even if it's not like an exact shadow, it's like, this is not, this is the path I could find myself on. I may be on that path right now.
I love when Spider-Man fights him because Spider-Man's, this big guilty mess. So he's always like, I was the first person you ever fought. I should have taken you out a very long time ago, and I didn't. And now you did something bad, and this is 100% on me. And that's typical Spider-Man story, and it's great.
Yeah.
And
it's also a typical Spider-Man story because Peter Parker a lot of times isn't quite as smart as he thinks he is, and he never outsmarts Frank Castle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's always so funny how Punisher beats him because like, I'm about to beat the shit out of you, and Punisher, like in this story, Crime and Punisher, he like just shoots this bad guy in the gut. He's like, take him to the hospital or take me in.
Yeah, but
he's like, I didn't think of that. How could you not think of that, Mr. Genius Peter Parker?
But he's not really. He's a genius in like the Dan Slott run. But I always think of Peter as like a perpetual fuck up. Like he's not. Most
not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. But to go back to what you were saying, it's like Daredevil. I love it when they fight because you're absolutely right. Daredevil's like, I am one bad day from being you. Like we are from the same neighborhood. We have the same upbringing. We have these like very like cultish Catholic value. Like I am one bad day, and it's the Daredevil. So he's had many very, very, very bad days. And you can see he's constantly like, is today going to be the day where I get up and just start murdering like every single bad guy in Hell's Kitchen and just to see what happens. So I do love it.
Already proven that he would. In the Garth Ennis issue where he's like, he ties him up and makes him, he's like, I'm going to shoot this guy if you don't shoot me. He's like, what kind of choice is that? That's the choice I make every time I pull the trigger. Daredevil pulled the trigger. So apparently one day he is going to do this. Punisher's already proven it. So shut the fuck up, Mr. Sanctimonious.
That was the one complaint I had about Daredevil season 2, where John Bernthal premieres the Punisher, is they changed that scene so there actually was a bullet in the gun. I was screaming at my television. My wife was like, oh, good, you finally lost it. You finally just completely went off the deep end. That's good to know.
It's good that that's what did it.
That's what did it. Yeah, that's what pushed me over the edge.
Dean, what are you thinking? Anything else to add to the battle here between Cap and Punisher?
It's always interesting to see these guys interact and fight because, again, they're both soldiers. They're both, in some ways, the apotheosis of what we perceived the wars they fought to be. They're like the embodiment of World War II, the embodiment of the Vietnam conflict. Obviously, Castle's always, again, it's a thing where, like, he knows he's like, I'll never beat this guy. But, and again, Captain America is really smart. And you can tell as you read this, Captain America figures out exactly what's going to happen about half a second too late. Like Spider-Man, when he fights him, it's like, he's just, he seems flummoxed. Captain America's more like, of course, of fucking course. I mean, like, it's what I would have done, where he does like the freaking uses his shield as a springboard to get up there into the helicopter, like brilliant. Why are these news choppers flying so close? They crash sometimes. Y'all got to be more careful than that. It's always, like I said, it's always fun to see these guys fight, both for the philosophical reasons that I mentioned earlier, and actually I think it's a fairly usually even fight. I think Cap's stronger and is probably a better straight up fighter, but and they both have like tremendous strength of will. I think Castle's dirtier and more cunning, and that makes for an interesting square off. It was interesting when he gets up. The first off, like also during this fight, Castle says something about like, when I was in the army, guys, we can't make mistakes like that. Castle was in the Marine, guys. Like, this is, I understand how it can be made. I'm not getting on anybody, but this is what an editor does.
Yeah.
I
hear you.
Happened, I understand it's a slip of the tongue, I've said it, everybody has, but like, hey, this went through like 5 people's eyes. I work in a business where we can't, that's what we do. We're the last people to like look at stuff. You can't let something like this slide. Also, when he kicked the news people out of the helicopter, for whatever reason, the reporter, who's a woman, she's wearing like thigh-high stockings. What's that about? Like, that doesn't seem very comfortable to be reporting the news in like in a cramped helicopter. What's going on here? But she parachutes out, and they let you see that. So that's a little fan service for the fanboys, if you know what I'm saying. It reminded me this time I was reading War Machine straight through, and like he had this they had a girlfriend, and they were just like, I swear to God, they changed writers, or like something happened and like people forgot about this fucking girlfriend, right? Somewhere along the way. So at some point it's like, they meet back up, and he's like, I'll meet you in your hotel room in a little bit or whatever. And then she's like, you never came. I sat at home forever waiting, wondered when you would call. And it's like her crying with Kleenex, and she has on like a bustier and like fucking like thigh-high stockings and like a garter belt and shit. I'm like, why would she put that on? Like I gotta cry for a second. Let me just, like, men don't know anything about women. Like, a woman would almost never put that on so they could cry about a dude who wasn't coming to see them. But anyhow, I just thought I saw that, and it made me think of that. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, the fight, it's a good fight. It's exactly how you think it would go. Captain America presses every advantage and it is just outsmarted by Castle just a half second too late.
They did make a point to tell the reader that Cap is fighting a degenerative disease at this point.
Oh, yeah.
That's the fighting chance storyline.
Yeah.
That kind of gives you an answer, or at least an idea, as to why he wasn't able to make that jump. Castle is, but for some reason Cap wasn't able to. He was hanging on that ledge, and I think
it's because he didn't believe in himself and his mission the way Frank Castle did. All right. That's what it was.
I'm sure that's exactly what it was.
That's it. For real, the degenerative disease, definitely. It's important. I like that bit of continuity too.
There's a great scene at the end of what I think is the second part of the Cap appearance, where Cap just calmly tries to talk to everyone because, Sentinel of Liberty, as Dean said. And one of the cops is straight up like, I will arrest you. And one of the other cops is like, can we talk to Captain America like that? You can almost see, like, doesn't he outrank us? Like, what do we even do here? And then, Cap very calmly is like, fine, arrest me. That doesn't change the fact that I'm 100% right here. And it's such
I love that part too, where he's like, fine, arrest me. Like, what the fuck? I'm not scared of you or being in jail, buddy. You did just see me fight the Punisher, right? I am still alive, right? I'm not scared of your Gestapo badge hiding motherfucking ass.
Could you imagine the guy who's in charge at the precinct house when this guy comes in and he's got Captain America in handcuffs, and they're all just like, what did you do? And Cap is sitting there like, oh no, we're going through this whole process where you are booking me. I'm calling the Maria Stark Foundation, getting a lawyer down here. Like, you started this, you are doing the whole thing. I'm having my day in court.
Do you want to fingerprint me, or do you want to use the fingerprints from my bond when I was because I'm an Avenger? Whichever you want, sir. Officer, I understand you're just doing your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, make sure you put a tag on my shield. I'll be bailed out in a couple hours. Don't need that back.
And then you get a couple of this is still the 90s, so you get a couple of older people who serve with him, and they're just like, you let him go right now or else God only knows.
Man.
Yeah, that made my day.
I basically plotted out some of the big beats in issue 3. Really the big thing that happens, I think, in issue 3, and you guys chime in here if I'm missing anything, but really I just wrote down Frank versus Nails happens in this one. Nails has had enough. He's been booted upstairs. So he's like, no, I'm going to find the Punisher and I'm going to take care of him. I'm going to bring him in. Tracks him by post office box, I think, and then, just starts unloading his weapon at the Punisher in the middle of the street, pretty much. But he's of course,
an M60. Like it's not just like an assault rifle. Like it's like a light machine gun. This is some weaponry. Punisher stabs him in the hand though, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was gonna say and Nails is like, why isn't he killing me? He doesn't understand why the Punisher hasn't killed him. Well, okay, he's probably realizes you're just doing your job, buddy.
I like Nils very much. He's another good foil for Frank because he's noble. He's been given this crap task. He doesn't know everything the reader knows. So again, I thought he was really good.
And he's been dealing with the Punisher since around before Suicide Run. He was in charge of V.I.G.I.L, and Blackwell, the dirty V.I.G.I.L cop that Punisher shot, who deserved to get shot, who killed his partner, by the way. Killed his own partner. He didn't know. He knew there was something wrong with him, but he thought he was just too hungry, too ready to get after it. But actually, Blackwell's fucking psycho, and the Punisher put him down. And so I think that Nails, like you said, he's a great guy. He's noble. He respects the Punisher, and ultimately, when he gets stabbed in the hand but not killed, he starts to put some things together. Because he already didn't quite trust Blackwell. In fact, at one point, Blackwell, y'all know who Payback is?
Mm-hmm.
He's mentioned in this book.
Well, he's in the book for
he shows up. Yeah.
Blackwell beats the shit out of him and tortures him. And then Nails is like, you can't be alone with any more prisoners, you piece of shit. So so he knew something was up with this guy. I think he's put it all together here.
Well, at the end of issue 3, we get our big cliffhanger, and Frank is cornered by Spider-Man. And issue 4, we get...
you get to see the Spidey signal, too. You don't see the Spidey signal very often. Hell fucking yeah, man.
I was going to say, at the end of this, Spider-Man has decided to bring out the spider signal. That's pretty fucking big deal. And he's like, boom, shining it right on Frank. Frank knows he's in.
I know where you are, asshole.
He's like, you are getting punched immediately. Darry, Spider-Man's your guy, right? What are your thoughts here?
I thought this was so well done because, there are 100 different ways you could have Spidey make an entrance. And just at this really tense moment, just flash that signal, just the silhouette of the light. And the art here is so good where all the negative space is used. You really see the pattern on Frank. And again, knowing his first appearance was in a Spider-Man book with that iconic cover and everything else. It really hit home. And it's great too, because every time Frank has to interact with the super powered half of the Marvel universe, he kind of he's exhausted. He's like, I don't want to deal with any of this. You idiots deal with this. So the fact that Spider-Man has to come in and get involved is great too, because he's like, I don't need this. I have so much I have to do tonight. And now I have to deal with this idiot kid again. And it's just I always go back to Enos, to the crossover where he uses the unconscious Spider-Man to try to bludgeon someone to death, and then when Spidey wakes up, he goes, "What happened?" And Punisher goes, "We had a crossover. You were great."
Love that. Yeah, great moment.
Oh man,
I one of the things I've always liked about the relationship too. Do you remember the Gang War story with the Great Mike Zet covers and shit, where Punisher's got the bazooka and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Like at one point, like Spider-Man's like great. He's like, you don't know. I can't remember the exact line or whatever, but he's like things just got really bad. We don't know how things are gonna go, and you don't understand what's going on. And it's like what? It's like, looky everybody, and it's like it's the Punisher has like killed a bunch of people. He's like fuck. I don't. Just like Frank doesn't want to deal with him. Peter Parker really doesn't want much to do with the Punisher. Like God, not this guy, not now.
That's fair. Yeah, because all his foes are like. They're cartoonish, right? Like, who am I fighting today? I'm fighting a fat guy with octopus arms. I'm fighting another, all these ridiculous people. But Frank is
Animal of the week.
But to your point earlier, and this is a really, really good distinction of why the Punisher remains so interesting, is he does have a mission, and he does believe that he has a mission. And a lot of the other rogues, you can't really say that. They want one thing or the other, but Frank's like, no, I'm doing this thing, and everything that I am is dedicated to this one thing. So when he doesn't count in Spider-Man, Spider-Man's like, wait, why are you doing this? And Frank's like, I have to. And Spidey's like, oh, you're just crazy. And they don't really understand each other, so he tries to put him away. But, as we mentioned earlier, Spidey is the exact opposite of a trained soldier. I mean, he goes on instinct. His whole character is instinct. 9 out of 10 of his problems is the fact that he just reacts on instinct because that's what his powers do. They make him do that way. And Frank's the opposite. Frank will not pull the trigger. Frank is a Sun Tzu master, right? He will not pull the trigger on any plan unless he's got 5 different ways of executing it and 10 different backups. So he's just they're great to go against each other because you know that if Spider-Man can land one blow, he could break the Punisher's sternum. But the characters don't work that way, so it's always a good confrontation.
It reminds me of when they crossed over during what was it, the Omega the Omega Code.
Yeah,
effect, yeah. And like there's one point where they have to get into the criminal stronghold and Punisher's like, meet me back here in like 3 hours and I'll have a plan for us to get in there. And Spider-Man's like, you can't kill anybody, Frank. He's like, what? He's like, no killing. He's like, 3.5 hours then.
I remember that. Yeah, that was during that.
And that's great how they work there. Like even, I think honestly they work best. Spider-Man and Punisher to me work best when Spider-Man has to like the round robin thing or gang or the Omega, the Omega Drive story where Spider-Man has to be like, God, I hate this guy, but I don't know that we can solve the problem right now without him.
Yeah.
And Punisher's like, I can absolutely solve this problem without you, but if you won't get in my way.
Yeah.
Well, our battle lasts in our part 4 of this Pariah here, approximately 8 panels. 4 pages. It's pretty quick.
Well, I mean, Punisher decides not to fight, and if he's not going to fight, especially Spider-Man should win every fight they have, but if Punisher's not going to fight back, then he should absolutely win all of them. When Punisher beats Spider-Man, it's because he takes advantage of Spider-Man's what is perceivably one of his biggest strengths. Is Punisher's figured out that Spider-Man has a spider sense. He will make it seem like danger is happening from direction X when his plan is direction Y. Mm-hmm. But because Spider-Man reacts to danger, his spider sense doesn't be like, oh, there's 8 different things that are going to mess with you right now. Yeah. So Punisher can take advantage of that. If they just stand and swap licks, I mean, yeah, this is how it should be.
Do you guys feel like Stephen Grant was told you have to use Spider-Man, and he was like, okay, he's on the cover, I'm going to do the absolute most minimal with him, and then I'm not going to mention him again because I feel like Spider-Man's presence in this comic does very little other than, presumably sell it to me.
When you look at this, I said there are 4 pages, 2 of which are splash pages. So it's not there's a lot drawn out in here other than just to be like, hey guys, Spider-Man's here, and Spider-Man's left the building because he shows up. And I love the fact that we dedicated 1 page to him punching the shit out of Frank Castle. I mean, he hits him.
Well, he's tied up too. What a cheap shot. Let me just point that out again. The man has given up and you webbed him, and you hit him as hard as you can, Peter.
But I like that because it really does. It speaks to the character of what is Spider-Man's main reason for doing anything? It's guilt. It's just straight up guilt. So Spidey was not having a good time in 1994. So to finally hear the Punisher has snapped, it's just he's got to be thinking all the time. And he even says it, right? Like all the times we've encountered each other and I've looked the other way and I've let you escape and I've let you do whatever else. That is on me. You killed a police officer. It is like I killed a police officer. So to see him like hit him here, he's like, I am disappointed in me. I'm disappointed in you. And I should have done this a very long time ago. It's definitely for that splash page. Cause yeah, I mean, that's the type of thing where it's like, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't have a problem with anything that happened. I just got to take up from my fella, but I have actually spoken to Stephen Grant about Pariah before, and no, he brought Spider-Man and Captain America in on his own.
Oh, okay.
These are the guys he wanted to tell a story where if the Punisher had killed the cop in Suicide Run, which is something they had decided to do as like a Punisher group, because that crossover ran through Punisher, War Journal, and Warzone, then he's like, there has to be some ramifications. There has to be something serious. And that would mean that these guys who he had been like, well, I guess we're buddy, but you kill people, like Spider-Man, he when he talked, he mentioned Spider-Man's guilt a lot. When I talked to him about it, he's like, he would be upset. Captain America would not like this. So he wanted to use these characters. I don't think he wanted to write a full knockdown, drag out fight between Punisher and Spider-Man. He wanted it to get back to where what we're all here for, and that is when the Punisher kills a bunch of bad guys. That's why we're here. I like to see the Punisher mix it up with Wolverine, but I know he's not going to kill Wolverine. I know Wolverine's not going to kill him unless it's Punisher versus the Marvel Universe or some what if or something. So let's get to the part where some mook is like, man, I'm the ultimate scalawag. And Punisher's like, you used to be, and like shoots him.
I do want to point out my other favorite note about the Spider-Man Punisher battle is as Spider-Man is webbing himself away, he says, I've got other things to do. And we get an editor's note that says, for more details, there are 5 different Spider-Man books to choose from.
Right.
Like, hey, guys, just to let you know, this guy's all over the place. And they don't even go to they don't even list it because they probably won't even be in there. And no big storyline. It's just go look for the other 5 books that are out there.
The 5 books. What do you think the 5th book is? Because I think it's Spider-Man Unlimited, but I guess you could make an argument that it's Marvel Tales. That's like Todd McFarlane did some covers and shit.
That's fair.
And I don't know when it ended, but I was like 5 books. So I know the 4, and then the 5th must be that one. And of course, he's also there's probably a graphic novel and here's Power of Terror miniseries or some bullshit right around the corner too.
Yeah, I mean there were so many minis and one shots, and he was showing up in everything at this point. I mean, this is right before the real start of the Clone Saga. So he is at maximum penetration here.
Maximum clonage.
There you go. There you go.
Just to clarify, Marvel Tales was canceled with issue number 291 in November of 1994.
So possibly still happening.
All right.
Maybe. I mean, this was.
I still think it's Spider-Man Unlimited, but I don't know. Sometimes when you would read, especially before the adjectiveless Spider-Man, you'd read Marvel Age, and they'd be like, you could check out Spider-Man, 4 times a month, counting the Marvel Tales. They would be like, so-and-so's doing Spectacular, so-and-so's doing Web, so-and-so's doing Amazing, and the Hobgoblins appearing in Marvel Tales or some bullshit, like you would see that Marvel Age. So it was just an interesting question. Let me ask, before we move on from where the MU, the other guys in the 6-1 fucking 6 were hanging out, who was not in this that you would have liked to have seen in this who is not Daredevil? Can't pick Daredevil. Too easy of a pick. But there's lots of guys who have interacted with the Punisher who would not have been happy about him, exposing Blackwell's brain matter to oxygen. So who would you have picked?
I mean, for me, it's an obvious pick. It's almost too obvious. The U.S. agent,
nice.
Cap. Nice. To me,
we should cover No Escape sometime. It's really good.
Yeah. To me, Captain America taking down Frank is like, you were accused of something. We have to figure this out. We're gonna do this. U.S. agent, I can't tell if he would show up and be like, I'm 100% on your side. You're all good. Or if he'd just be like, nah, you killed someone, I'm gonna kill you. But John Walker is nowhere near the tactician either Steve Rogers or Frank Castle is. But
he's stronger than either of them, and that's an incredible X factor.
Yeah. No, he's all muscle. He's not to be trifled with, especially when he thinks he has the moral high ground, which is almost always. So no, I definitely, my money would be on John Walker, who is not who is a character that I do like. I think he's very interesting. I don't think he's the world's greatest superhero, but I do like it when he's given a chance to shine. So I think he would have been a good addition to this story.
I agree.
What's Nomad doing at this point in time?
You know what? He would, that would actually be a really great addition because, this is not too long after Dead Man's Hand, and he might have been like, hey, I gotta go. He might have actually been like, I like him. I want to guys, because there's nobody in here who just tries to talk to Frank. Like, you remember later when they do Punisher Warzone, it's just kind of a similar story where the Avengers go after him, and like Thor and Wolverine are just like, listen, you can't keep this shit up, But they don't, like, nobody really tries that here. Where But yeah, Nomad's a good one. I think he would try.
Jack Monroe. I that was the only one I could think of. I was sitting there thinking, like, I don't know if Luke Cage would have enough, and I don't even know what he's doing here in '94.
He had a solo title at this time, I believe.
Cage. So this is Cage, right? Yeah.
Cage.
So I don't, I'm thinking of street level players that would possibly have some kind of run in with them, but that was the first person I thought of was.
The Daughters of the Dragon, like just being like Vigil's got a discretionary slush fund. They just cut them a check for like 6 figures and be like, if you two can bring him in, tax free, done.
Right. The White Tiger.
The what? Oh my God, forgot about him. Yeah, wasn't he dead at this time?
He's dead at this time. Yeah, he'll be better in a little bit. But actually, like my pick is actually similar to what you're saying there, Darry. But it tags onto what you said. What I really would have liked would have been Vigil getting into a slush fund and hiring Power Man and Iron Fist.
Oh, fine, great.
So we're like on the same level there, where it's like okay, so it's like, so let me understand this, Jive Turkeys. You want this guy who just destroyed 7 buildings and killed a bunch of cops. You want us to take him down? I don't think you put enough zeros there. What do you think, man?
For my final note here, really, I just had the issue 5 where we have the final throwdown between Machete. I'm calling him Machete, whatever you want to call him here. He has 2 T's in it, which is kind of
2 T's, right.
Yeah,
Machete.
I was questioning myself, but I mean, I want to say, just to get my thoughts out there on the final battle, I want to say it was kind of. Underwhelming. I mean, it was like, hey, here we go. We got a swordsman, and look at him. He's a cocky son of a gun, isn't he? And then it's like, but the thing is that Frank's going to use that against him, and he does. And he's just like, okay, time to change it up on him. And he goes and grabs a gun, and he's just laying everybody out there. But again, I mean, he kills the bad guy in front of all his thugs, and then the thugs are next, which is it's usually the other way around. So the big bad, but go ahead.
You're right. That is a good inversion. No, I was just agreeing with you. You're right. That is a good inversion. Machete's really weird though, because like he does this thing all the time where he's like, "Oh, pick this up, and you can freaking if you can pick up this sword and beat me, you'll live," or whatever. And you'll notice he wouldn't try that with the guy from Madison Square Garden and with the Carnage concert, because he would already have a knife. I got a knife right here. And if he tries that, that guy was in there, Machete's reign of terror would have been long ago.
I never expect it, but I'm always happy to have it.
Yes, indeed. My goodness. It's been too long. Yeah, yeah,
that's
raise your hands. He's victorious. Outlaw Bill,
and I bring you the Carnage guy with the knife. I have 2 traits.
There's a point even when he's like yelling at Frank to pick up the sword, and he goes for the gun, and doesn't he yell like cheater? Like he calls him a cheater. Like that fucking matters to the Punisher right now. No, I don't think
the Punisher's talking about this guy, and that's how he's built his mystique. He makes everybody play by these weird rules, and since he pushes around a bunch of mooks who I assume, probably don't even have their GED, like this is what they do, they fall into this trap, and he's not going to do that. Why would I play by your rules? What do I care? And it's so funny when he's like, pick up the sword. He's like, I don't need it.
Right. I mean, that's really all I had for this, other than we've already mentioned the cool glasses that he walks out with. I mean, that fucking made my Twitter. That is very fucking deep. I want to turn it over to you, Dean. I mean, what do you think here of our final interaction with Machete and Punisher, and as we close this book out?
Well, I think that, like I said, this gets back to where we all want a Punisher comic to be at some point, which is just the Punisher doing cool things, saying cool things, killing guys who should get killed, And Machete is all throughout this has just been proven that he's not a great guy. He kills somebody at one point because like they hired the guy that Punisher kills. Like he's what do you want this guy to do about it? Like he wasn't like look at all the turn the TV on like the people in that restaurant so you can see what the hell's going on.
Right.
It's not like nobody did anything wrong, but this guy's even terrible to his own soldiers. So it's extra refreshing when this whiny brat gets killed. It probably does feel a little anticlimactic, probably because, it follows the fight with Spider-Man and Captain America. True. So, like, it's hard to follow those things up and keep it, going. But I don't think it being anticlimactic makes it bad. I think it's more just like that's how it's really trying to show us that's how it works with the Punisher. Like, out of the frying pan, into the fire, onto the stove. Jesus Christ, there's another burger and there's fire on it too. You know what I mean? I think it's kind of like here's the pause where I get back to normal, but eventually things will just heat back up. And for him, a pause is just being able to kill some weird guy with a fucking fencing. And for that story, fighting Captain America is not normal. He has created a bad world for himself out there. But from here on, hopefully he can make this into the world he wants, which is a world with fewer mooks.
What do you guys think about the backup, the homecoming backup in these issues? We didn't really mention that. I have no strong feelings either way. I thought it was very generic. And again, at first I was confused because I thought it was going to tie into the main narrative, and it did not. I have no strong thoughts. But Dean, what do you think?
It's part of a long game. Y'all know in Suicide Run, it's kind of a reign of the Superman thing. Like a lot of different people become the Punisher. Yeah. Well, this guy's one of them. A mob family makes the Cullens make their own Punisher because they feel like they can then lord it over other crime families. And this is more of that guy's story and how it works and how it's going to work for him because he's not very well liked in the family and that kind of thing. So I enjoyed them, but they do feel out of place if you don't kind of know all the other stuff that was going on outside of Suicide Run. They kind of assumed that you've been following the title a little longer than just Pariah.
I love referring to that as Reign of the Punisher. I like that very much. I had
Reign of the Punisher.
That. You're not wrong though. That's exactly what it is. I like that a lot.
Reign of the Skull Man.
Yeah.
What becomes of the battle van? Like somebody's trying to steal the battle van in these.
That's Rosalie Carbone, who was like, if you've ever read the Chuck Dixon, John Romita Jr. Punisher Warzone 1-7, it's got the red cover where he's got the Uzis. It's classic. Best Punisher story ever. That's the mafia princess that he bones for information in there. Well, now she's trying to bone him. Like she's got money and now she's gonna deal with that shit, which is why she has the guys killed that are like, you and the Punisher had sex. She's like, yeah, fucking kill these guys. I don't want a bunch of people knowing how Punisher literally and figuratively screwed me. Used her terribly, and I don't remember exactly what happens, but this title's not going to go on much longer. Like the next thing's Final Entry and then Countdown, and that's when they cancel the Punisher titles and reboot it. So I don't remember exactly what happens. I've read it before, but I'm sure the Punisher kills some people.
Is that the reboot that ends with the Angel Punisher, or
no? This is leading into where he kills Nick Fury.
Oh yeah, right.
It's a soft reboot where, like we said earlier, he grows long hair, so he's different. And now he's a mafia boss.
Okay,
he'll get caught up in Onslaught later.
He will get caught up in No, I think he's dead by Onslaught.
No, he gets caught up on it because the helicarrier crashes, and he has to fight scavengers.
Yes,
that's right.
Because apparently everyone in the world's too busy dealing with the Sentinels and stuff. But no, he lives a little longer than that too. But that's.
I love Onslaught. I just want to go on the record as saying I love that crossover so much.
I need to read it again. It's been a while, but I remember enjoying it.
Yeah.
Well, when you guys read it, feel free to listen to the Source Material Comics podcast because, by golly, we covered the whole 4 massive volume. What is Epic Onslaught? Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
We did all 4 fucking volumes of that. But yeah, you're right, man. I was just looking at it. 12 more issues, I think, of the Punisher because it ends at 80. So
yes,
5 and 11 more.
Final entries like 4 issues or 5 issues, and then I think Countdown starts after that, or maybe a fill-in. I think the only thing that we didn't really mention is that Stephen Grant's like a master of Punishers in her monologue. This is some of the best Punisher thoughts you'll get about just the situations he's in, the situations he's going to face, and just how he looks at things. So, I mean, Stephen Grant writes an incredible Punisher. You can't go wrong with any of his Punisher work. And I think that sadly, this storyline gets overlooked for whatever reason, probably because it was toward the end of the Punisher's heyday at this point. It was after a bigger story, but it's really worth checking out. You'll probably find it in, buck bins, and it is absolutely worth, buying.
Yeah, same. Again, seek this out, read it. It's super satisfying. It's exactly what you want a Punisher story to be. The inner monologues are great. There is a tone that you need for a Punisher story, because he's got to be a little funny, but not like haha funny. Just like when you read the deadpan lines, it's gotta land a certain way. And
it's funny you mentioned that, because that's one of the things that that Emily, my girlfriend, always points out. Is she'll be like, people talk about the Punisher like he has no character. He's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. The Punisher has to have a little bit of self-awareness of all this nonsense, and no one does it like Stephen Grant. I mean, just no one. It's just and it's on full display here. And this has everything you want. This has a bunch of people trying to figure out what to do with this guy. It's got good fights. It's got great art. I mean, really. I mean, this Punisher was in a lot of comics in the 90s. This is some very good artwork in this. All the scenes with Cap are phenomenal, and I flew through it. I really did. It was one of those things where it was like, I couldn't believe how it was just an easy, good read. I got to the end. I was like, I'm going to start again. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So, no, well done. And yeah, to Dean's point, definitely flew under the radar. Wasn't something I was aware of until he mentioned it, but I enjoyed the hell out of it.
All right, very good. Just real quick, you mentioned the art. Hugh Haynes, looks like he started out on Alpha Flight in 87. And I'm looking at Mike's Amazing World of Comics, and he does Punisher War Journal in 94, does a couple hard case issues for Malibu. Happy anniversary.
Jump on!
That's it. That was 95, and then that was it. So I have to look in to see, that was a small journey into comics for him.
Well, hopefully he went on to have a very lucrative career as a commercial artist.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right, guys. We did it. Punisher Pariah is in the books. Let's talk about plugs. Dean Compton's got plugs over there. He's talking about the Unspoken Decade, and let's hear about it, Dean.
Yeah, the UnspokenDecade.com, where Simbi Fan is writing about Emerald Twilight, I believe. So check that out. I mean, everybody knows the Kyle Rayner story, but everybody loves Kyle Rayner, so you can't get enough of him. So go check out the kid artist with the ring. See if he makes good. First, how Jordan kills everybody. Then there's, over at the Facebook page, we're always post a lot of great stuff. And the Twitter at Unspoken Decade, where I post every now and then. I'm trying to think of what card set to do next, but I'm going to think of one soon.
Okay. All right. For myself, ladies and gentlemen, the Source Material Comics podcast feed is most likely what you're listening to this podcast on. And we have all sorts of great shows. Speaking of the unspoken issues, well, you can go back into the archive and listen to a lot. By the time this airs, I know that our discussion, Conan versus Rune, is going to be on this here feed. And boy, was that the comic. Yes, it was. It was the one time that I said, boy, oh boy, that there BWS ain't so lukewarm.
Barry Wintersmith, I am no longer lukewarm on him. I like him.
He is such a great guy. What a guy. Yes. Hey, we had a good time talking about that book. I just edited it. It is ready to air, so it's got to be in the feed. Go check it out. And as for the Source Material Comics podcast, that's where we talk about, that's not just 90s comics, folks. That's just about anything we can get our hands into. Well, we should be talking Silver Surfer Black pretty soon. I've already edited that out, edited it and got it ready to put out there. But Silver Surfer Black was the first comic that I read with Null in it. And I know Null's been around for a little bit, but I learned a lot. But it also ties in with one of the unspoken issues that we did, but specifically the Cosmic Carnage. Yeah, because Null's kind of tied into that a little bit, and Silver Surfer is too. Yes, indeed. So yeah, you can check that out. It's fun stuff. But anyway, I think that's it for Dean Compton, for Darry Wade. I'm Jesse Starcher. Thank you very much for joining us this evening for Unspoken Issues. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. Unspoken Issues is part of the UnspokenDecade.com, the home for 90s comics, blogs, and podcasts. Unspoken Issues also has a Facebook group you can join if you are interested. Just search the Unspoken Issues podcast and request to join. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com and the Rattleitch Broadcasting Network, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon. Stuck around after the episode? Well, you're in for a treat, because first up, we take a look at the first stage of Capcom's The Punisher arcade game from 1993 and give you a little commentary on it. And then you get an exclusive, raw, unfiltered take from Dean Compton on Jason Aaron's recent Punisher run. And you do not want to miss that. So thanks for sticking around. Here's a little bit of bonus content for you. Like I said, we're not going through all of this for all 40-some minutes of this long play, but let's watch and see how the first stage of the Punisher arcade game shakes down, because I've never played it. I didn't even know it existed. Did not even know it existed. I played the NES game plenty of times, but
yeah, there's a port to the Genesis of this.
Is there really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's a very expensive Genesis game these days.
I was going to say, I'm a Genesis
that's
guy.
coming up too, like the stage open. Oh my God! On that day, Frank Castle died. On that day, I was born. See where he's pointing the pistol at people? Yeah. Like, I made that my picture at work on like our fucking like email, and somebody's like, "Hey, you might take that down." Like the guy's pointing a gun. I didn't think about it. You know, I look at this shit all the time. Like, I sit with action figures pointing guns at me constantly.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, but it's the Punisher. Who cares?
And our second player is Nick Fury, but I think we just get to watch the Punisher. Yeah. Thanks. Picking up speed machines, bouncing them off people's heads.
Yeah, get the money. Get the money. Get the money.
Oh, the white gloves. I love the white gloves.
Boom. Yeah, it plays like most beat 'em ups from the era, but there are like parts where you get guns, and like Nick Fury's the other guy you can play as.
Right.
And like here, like the first stage, he's like, I'm gonna kill Bruno Costa, and Kingpin's the last guy. You fight Bonebreaker from like the Rebirth, and Pretty Boy. See, like, here you go. There's some guy. Yeah, pick up the gun, buddy. Here we go. Yeah. Punch that. It's probably grenade. Hell yeah.
Here we go. Don't forget the tires there. There's something behind that. You know there is.
Something behind that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a no. Changing the phone booth there. That'd be pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's a super, super fun game. This is like a golden age of beat 'em ups for Marvel, because you've got like this and Captain America and the Avengers, and then obviously the famous 4 or 6 player X-Men, and then also a little forgotten Spider-Man arcade game beat 'em up that Sega put out, where you can play as like Hawkeye, Namor, or Black Cat. Yeah, now you're gonna kick this guy's ass on the bus. Mass Transit's never gonna be the same.
So what do we
Four
just
guys just driving the fucking bus, like, shit.
Get off the bus, bro.
I've got
Stop
a job.
the bus.
There's not even any passengers. Like, he should really just. I guess he can't. They put a tire in the. But yeah, he just beat the shit out of this guy. Also, like, if you play as 2 players, it'll give you like a different like ending. Like when the Punisher Nick Fury gets in the last hit. Like if Nick Fury gets in the last hit, it'll be like, you should have done a jail. But like if Punisher does, he's like, you fucking dead, asshole. Man, that was good. Yeah, just in time. There you go. The thugs on these games always have such crazy weapons. Like, that's like a medieval battle axe, and this one has what appears to be a mining tack hammer. I mean, why is where'd you find this? Yeah, so I went to Big Lots in California, 1853.
This thug's like, I want to make this shit mine. This is my calling.
Right. Tell me where your boss is.
I like how he's one-handing him.
Hey, listen,
oh, yeah. No
Frank,
please don't kill me.
Shape.
Thanks and goodbye. Now he blows him away.
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Some real shit too. This is from inspired by God, what is it? Marvel preview number 4. The first, like, when he kills the people who, like, no, Marvel Super Action number 1. That's his origin. But in this one, like, he goes and kills the people who killed his family, you know, Bruno and the Nasacostra and stuff. And he has to, like, swim in through the fucking swimming pool, like, through these pipes. And then he winds up shooting, like, a big tank that's got a shark in it. Like, the shark eats somebody. It's fucking great shit. Look, here's another battle axe. I just had this by the pool. Just in case.
Looking like Castle Grayskull here.
Look, he just fucking sliced Ryu and Ken in half with that thing. Some of these people have, like, katanas. It's great. Oh, yeah, it's the sexy name for the katanas. One thing about, like, beat-em-ups, man, there's always, like, some generic enemy that's a sexy name. Usually they have, like, whips. Like, people who are, you know, like, for whatever reason, like, the people who make beat-em-up games are freaks. You know, like, they're like, oh, yeah, here's this lady with her thigh-high boots and a katana. Ooh, hurt her. You know, like, so anyhow, so yeah.
She drank that flea juice, you know what I'm talking about?
She drank the, right.
Flea juice. There you go. Didn't even
Suki, huh? I wonder if it was, like, the same name as the lady from the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie. Here's the part where you just get guns. You just shoot the fuck out of these guys.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. And then sometimes you can get a different gun. Yeah. Let this lady go.
Punch the doors open.
The mouse. Here's a picture of what appears to be the Nature Boy Ric Flair. That's pretty good. Now look at this guy. He's made a flamethrower.
Yes.
Now you can pick it up. It's my favorite thing to do in the game because, like, there's no more Frank Castle than that. I'm like, well, guess I'll torch this guy to death. Making $18 an hour to be some guy's moot. You fucking get flamethrowered. But here's a tactic camera again.
Yep.
There's always a punk guy too. I see the punks that you have to beat up.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a punk guy in these beat 'em ups. There's usually like an Andre the Giant guy for some reason.
Poor businessman just got his ass handed to him.
You know, he should have crunched the numbers harder.
The damn hole through the door.
Yeah. Oh, look, he doesn't die so easily.
Time for justice, baby.
I like it.
Yeah.
You know.
Whoa. Oh, Bruno's had enough.
See, look, there's the shark tanks in the back. Oh, hell yeah.
Man.
This is like not what the guy had in the comic, but this appears to be very reminiscent to the Executioner suit that was in do you remember that year that Marvel introduced a new character in like every annual?
Talking about like with Legacy?
Yeah. It was the same year that DC did Bloodlines, where they did the same thing. Well, like one of them was Executioner. This looks kind of like that. It might not be. It might be might also be like the Robo suit from the Evolutionary War bullshit. But I don't know. You could fuck it up pretty easy though. This guard droid, what the fuck? Who cares?
He fought Slug in the Evolutionary War, right?
That sounds right with Moon Knight.
Well,
that's Atlantis Attacks. Yeah, he fought Slug in one of those.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he was part. And the Evolutionary War, according to what I was reading, because I just did a podcast on what if the Avengers had lost it, and I looked at all of the titles.
It's like, what if the Avengers lost the Evolutionary War? A bunch of cool shit happened. It actually was fine.
It really does. What ended up happening, I think, in the Punisher book is like he ends up just running into some of these. I want to say they're eliminators. Yeah.
Because like they want to kill the drug addicts.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so he ends up teaming up with the drug addicts, I think, or the drug dealer that he's to take out these guys that are coming after him. And then at the end, he shoots a tank. This is similar to what you were talking about. He shoots a tank and lets like this pet alligator out, which eats the drug dealer. So,
well,
I like it.
At heart, Frank Castle loves animals. That's really what he's like. I can't stand to see him caged.
Yeah.
This guard droid is like fucking real, you know, like he's shooting bombs and all that. I mean, I usually play this on an emulator, so I just don't care about anything. I just, stuff fucking quarters in and go.
Right. All right, we can stop this now. That was fun. We did about 10 minutes. 40 minutes long. I want to watch all of that at some point because, like I said, I never played I didn't know that was ported to the Genesis either. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's why I'm your friend, to tell you all the cool stuff that happened while you were busy reading Cyberforce.
I was too.
You were absolutely. You're like, is there a Cyberforce beat 'em up? Can't be worth playing then. If I can't be Heatwave, what's the point?
What is the point?
Have you read the new book? Do you know what he's talking about?
So no, I have not read anything, but from what I understand, is he leading the hand?
He was.
Okay, all right. So
I don't know. I read someone else's description of it, and it sounded like the absolute dumbest thing in the world. And I was like, I'm just happy this is over. Honestly, if the largest company doesn't want to publish him, then don't publish him. But this shit's a waste of time.
Right.
Yeah. So they killed him off, right? Is he dead now?
They sent him to Weird World.
Nonsense. Just nonsense.
Which is like I got it's like something that Doug Minch and I think Mike Plug created in the 70s that, like, honestly nobody talked about between, I swear to God, like 1978 until like Secret Wars in 2015 or 16. I was like, what the fuck? Nobody gave a shit about this, you know. But I actually have a trade of it. I've been to read for a while. I've heard it's good. I don't know. It sounds like a barely run-of-the-mill fantasy thing to me, but I don't want to say that with any, certainty. Yeah, they made him like the fucking beast of the hand, and like the hand's gonna bring back his wife and kids, and this is already dumb. They played this up in Secret Empire, and they get mad because there were several times when Frank Castle, like when the Hood offered to do this, and when like the guy with the Darkhold offered to do this, he's like, I don't want my wife and kids to see me. Like, I don't give a shit about, like, that's all past. Like, I understand they would hate me. So I guess Jason Aaron's the writer, and he's apparently the worst Punisher fan of all fucking time, because like he's like, I wanted to write this story since I was a Punisher fan since I was a kid. So you want to write a Punisher story where it fucking sucks and it like absolutely destroys the character? Like, you hate the Punisher. Like, it's weird. And so, like, I guess in the end, like, Maria Castle, who gets brought back, they try and bring the kids back, but I don't think it works. And Maria's like, actually, you're a piece of shit. You were always a piece of shit. We were at the picnic I was going to divorce you.
No.
All I wanted to do is kill people.
No.
Yeah. I took all of your money. I took everything. Half of it's been given to charities. The other half is waiting in the car for me, because apparently he's a terrible person, but she should still get some money from these illicit activities, which is weird. And she's like apparently pregnant with his kid now. It is terrible. It is 9,936.4 different kinds of fucking ridiculous. It's bad. Listen, I get it. They don't want to have anything to do with the Punisher. So instead of doing what they should do, which is fight back against the right-wing Proud Boy chodes who have, like, appropriated this symbol, they made the character like into one of those people and made the character in like terrible. So now they can cancel it, and those folks can say they were right all along. They can be like, they canceled it, blah blah blah, just like us. It's just like it's dumb on every level. It's a terrible story. I hope you hear this, Jason Aaron, because it's fucking terrible, and you're a fucking terrible writer. If you ever thought this was a fucking good idea.
Wait. It's a terrible story. He is not a terrible. It's a terrible
fucking writer.
He's not a terrible.
He's possibly a terrible person.
Oh, he's not a terrible person. He's a good guy.
Possibly a terrible person. I really don't know about that. All I'm saying is you're a terrible writer. You're terrible at dealing with the Punisher.
If Jason Aaron is listening to this, please come on.
What kind of Punisher fan was like, oh man, I'm reading the Punisher do cool shit and blow away these bad guys who I feel like society has to take care of somehow, but he still has this neat code. He's like the worst good guy. And you were like, what if I took all that away?
Yeah.
What if I undid all of that? What if everything that makes this character enjoyable and where you can hold your breath sometimes when Castle does some things that are not good. You're like, well, but this is the mission he's on. This is how it works. And take away all that. Just make him an utter piece of shit. I love the Punisher. Fuck you. What a fucking dumb thing to say. A dumb thing to do. And I'm just done. Like, I'm not buying any more Punisher comics. Like, I'm done.
That's rough.
Yeah. I'm done. I don't care if they bring back the skull and all the real stuff and the guns. I'm done. I'm not going to be insulted like this after I was insulted already during Secret Empire. because these guys can't think of a motivation for the Punisher other than wanting his wife and kids brought back, which was like fucking like settled so many times. What kind of Punisher fan are you if you haven't fucking seen that like worked over several times? You don't know anything about the Punisher. You're a pretender. You're a poser. You should never write another comic book.
Woo! Damn.
Unless it's Southern Bastards, because I would like the next issue of that. Please, thank you.
Whatever the fuck that is. It's probably stupid.
Oh, we are going to get on a list. We are going to get on a list.
I've
tell you what, he's Southern. I bet he doesn't know shit from apple butter about that either. I'm from the fucking South. Is he going to insult me another way?
He's also from the South.
He doesn't know shit about it. I bet he doesn't know shit about it.
Damn.
I'll debate him over cornbread and
fired up. Fired up.
Man,
I was trying not to get this fired up, but I'll be honest, it hasn't been a good month for me. I got a lot of angst in me, and I got a lot of anger. And like, you know what? Somebody's gonna fucking get it. He's probably not a bad person. I don't know him from Adam, but he's
not a bad person at all.
Whatever. Don't take up for him, Darry.
All right.
Here's who we can agree: Scott Lobdell, bad writer and bad person.
As noted before on this podcast.
Oh man. Oh.
I'm sorry, like this dude, I don't know anything I haven't read anything he's done. Scott Lobdell sexually harassed a lady in front of God and everybody at a convention. He's a bad person. And then apologized if he had upset her husband. Smooth move, X-Lax.
Well. Let's steer things back. Let's talk, let's
what
talk.
What if I yelled some more?
I don't know if I can take it. I'm already uncomfortable.
I didn't mean to make y'all uncomfortable, and I didn't mean to put us on a list. I don't want anybody to have the worst day they've ever had at their job. You know what I mean? I can't put my head. I cannot imagine that like 25 years ago you were reading like Stephen Grant and Chuck Dixon Punisher, and your whole thing is like, I want to tell this story that just fucks it all up. It baffles me. You know what I want? I want to write Punisher stories. You know what he did in them? Shot guys. That's what he does. Like, remember when he shot Stiltman in the dick with a bazooka? That was cool as hell.
That was great.
Cool as hell.
That was really good. Everyone should read the Matt Fraction Punisher War Journal. That book was great.
I like it. I have problems with it, but it's pretty good.
All right.
That's the first time I ever read a Howard Chaykin comic.
Okay.
You never saw those sexy dames back in American Flag?
I had no exposure to it, and then I read that.
That dude draws some sexy dames.
Does draw some sexy dames. I'm not disagreeing with you. I feel the way about Gary Groff the way you claim to feel about Jason Aaron. I'll go on the record. I'll go on the record saying that.
Oh, wow. As a person, I don't know the guy. So, like, I want to make that clear. I was joking and being hyperbolic. And he could be a good writer. I've heard good things about a Thor run, I want to say. I haven't read it.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, I'll say it again. I'll say it a million times. I don't think you should come within like a fucking continent length of the Punisher ever again.
Do you know what the worst thing about this is? This is not the first time he's written the Punisher. He did a follow-up run on the Max run, and he even
that was pretty good. That was pretty good, actually.
Oh, see, I was gonna say I didn't like it. I only bought it because of Stephen Dillon, but no, that's if you like that, then fine. Then we're moving in the right direction here.
It's been a long time since I read it. I don't remember anything exemplary about it, but I remember how daunting it must have been to like follow the Enos Max run. And so like, but I don't remember anything like super, but I remember it not being terrible, and that's the best you can hope for. Everybody's not going to Rick Veach it like he did after the Allenmore Swamp Thing run, where you're like, this is probably just as good, so.
Well, smart guy, that Jimmy Nails.
Yeah. Listen. If you draw 55 diagrams for him, he will come up with 4 + 4 is 8. Smart guy.
Fucking Jimmy Nails. So at the end of issue
Nails too, I keep thinking of the wrestler. Do you remember?
You're fucking thinking of the wrestler. Yep. Fucking
the terrible like. Oh my God! I was like, Nails. No, not Nails, the wrestler who wrestled the Big Boss Man, who accused the Vince McMahon of grabbing his balls, but Nails in the Punisher.
What?
Oh my God!
I know it's we're full of piss and vinegar tonight. We're coming out with all the stories.
We really are. Well, it's been a while. We gotta catch up.
That's true.
Still, man gets shot in the dick with a bazooka. We covered that.
That was a great
supposedly
comic.
grabbed Nails' balls. We covered.
I all these bullet points need to be on the episode description. I just need to
the balls to the wall episode of Unspoken Issues.
Oh shit.